The Silent Watchers. The message arrived like a blade through the heart of humanity's hope. Every screen on Earth, every communication device across the colonies, every transmission array from Mercury to Pluto suddenly blazed with the same terrifying declaration. The voice that spoke was not human. It carried the cold precision of absolute authority. Inhabitants of the Sol system, you will submit to the Dominion Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender your fleets, your resources, and your autonomy. Resistance will result in complete annihilation. Captain Nora Blackwood stood in the command center of Luna Station, her weathered hands gripping the tactical display as the message repeated across every channel. Around her, junior officers stared in stunned silence at the holographic projection showing massive ships materializing at the edge of their solar system. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Marcus Vale's voice cut through the tension, his youthful features pale but determined. "Long-range sensors are picking up at least 300 vessels. Their technology signatures are unprecedented." Nora turned to study the young officer who had become her most trusted tactical advisor over the past months. Marcus had a brilliant mind for strategy, but more than that, he possessed an unwavering calm under pressure that she found both admirable and, if she were honest with herself, increasingly attractive. "Show me everything we have," she commanded, moving closer to his station. The subtle scent of his cologne mixed with the recycled air, a reminder of normalcy in this moment of crisis. The tactical display expanded, revealing the approaching Dominion fleet in horrifying detail. Each ship dwarfed Earth's largest vessels, their hulls gleaming with weapons arrays that could level continents. Admiral Korath's flagship, a kilometer-long behemoth called the Devastator, led the formation like a spear aimed at humanity's heart. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, his fingers dancing across the controls, "there's something else." "I'm detecting anomalous readings from the outer system, near Neptune." Nora leaned over his shoulder to study the data, her breath catching as she noticed the proximity of their bodies. "What kind of anomalies?" "Gravitational distortions. Energy signatures that don't match any known technology. Not ours, not theirs." Marcus looked up, their faces suddenly close enough that she could see the golden flecks in his brown eyes. "It's almost like something is hiding out there." Before Nora could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts from Earth filled the channels. Panic in the streets, governments calling for calm while secretly preparing for the worst. The Dominion had given humanity 3 days to decide between slavery and death. "Sir," Communications Officer Davis called out, "we're receiving reports from deep space monitoring stations. Several Dominion scout ships have disappeared." "Disappeared?" Nora straightened, her military training overriding the flutter of attraction she'd felt moments before. "Explain." "No wreckage, no distress signals. They're simply gone from our sensors. 3 confirmed losses in the past hour, all near the outer planets." Marcus pulled up the tracking data, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Captain, look at this pattern." "The disappearances are following a specific route, almost like something is hunting them." The possibility sent a chill through Nora's spine. If there was another player in this deadly game, humanity needed to know who and what they were dealing with. "Marcus, I need you to coordinate with deep space arrays. Map every anomaly, every unexplained reading. If something is out there—" "Captain!" Davis interrupted, his voice cracking with excitement and fear. "We're receiving a transmission. Origin point, unknown." The main display flickered, and suddenly they were looking at a figure unlike anything in human experience. Tall, elegant, with features that seemed almost human, yet subtly alien, the being's eyes held ancient wisdom and infinite sadness. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of stars. "People of Earth," it said, "you are not alone in this darkness. The Dominion has forgotten that some prey has guardians." The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Nora felt Marcus move closer, his shoulder brushing against hers. "Captain," he whispered, "I think our 72 hours just became a lot more interesting." As if in response to his words, the tactical display suddenly populated with dozens of new contacts, ships emerging from the void like shadows given form, taking positions between Earth and the approaching Dominion fleet. The Silent Watchers had revealed themselves, and humanity's fate hung in the balance between 2 forces beyond their comprehension. In that moment, as death and salvation danced on the edge of their solar system, Nora allowed herself to hope that perhaps, just perhaps, they might survive to see tomorrow's dawn. Whispers in the dark. Dr. Elena Cross had spent her entire career studying the possibility of alien life, but nothing had prepared her for the reality of standing face to face with one. The being who had identified himself as Zephron towered over her in the sealed laboratory aboard Research Station Galileo, his presence both commanding and strangely comforting. "Your species fascinates me," Zephron said, his voice carrying harmonic undertones that seemed to resonate in Elena's chest. So young, yet so fierce in the face of extinction. Elena struggled to maintain her scientific objectivity as she studied his features, humanoid but refined, with skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light and eyes that held depths she couldn't fathom. "You're Nexari," she said, consulting her hastily assembled notes. The transmission mentioned Guardians. "We are the Nexari," Zephron confirmed, moving closer. Elena caught her breath as his proximity sent an unexpected warmth through her body. "For millennia, we have watched over younger civilizations, protecting them from predators like the Dominion." Commander Jonas Hart shifted uncomfortably near the laboratory's entrance, his weathered face skeptical. The veteran Marine had seen too much combat to trust easily. "If you're so powerful, why hide? Why not stop the Dominion permanently?" A second figure materialized from what Elena had thought was empty air. Vex, Zephron's lieutenant, her features sharp and calculating. "Because human, true strength comes from growth, not dependency. We guide, we protect when necessary. We do not conquer." Back on Luna Station, Marcus Vale's fingers flew across his console as he uncovered classified files buried deep in Earth's military archives. Each document painted a picture that defied everything humanity thought it knew about their place in the galaxy. "Captain Blackwood," he called out, his voice tight with amazement. "You need to see this. Operation Silent Guardian, files dating back 50 years. Earth's deep space monitoring stations have been tracking unexplained phenomena for decades." Nora moved to his station, their shoulders touching as she leaned in to read the classified reports. The contact sent electricity through both of them, a reminder of the growing attraction they'd been dancing around for months. "Ghost ships appearing during pirate raids," Marcus read aloud, his breath warm against her ear. "Mysterious interventions during mining colony disasters. Someone's been watching over us for a long time." "More than watching," Nora murmured, acutely aware of his closeness. "Protecting." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Tribune Malvec paced the bridge of his assault cruiser, his rage growing with each failed patrol report. The Dominion war chief was a creature of violence and conquest, his scarred features twisted with fury at the mysterious disappearances plaguing his fleet. "Overlord Craven grows impatient," his communications officer reported nervously. "He demands answers about our missing scouts." Malvec's clawed hand crushed the armrest of his command chair. "Then we give him answers. Deploy hunter-killer squadrons. Whatever phantoms lurk in this system, we will drag them into the light and destroy them." Back in the laboratory, Elena found herself drawn to Zephron despite every rational thought telling her to maintain professional distance. As he explained the history of Nexari intervention, his passion for protecting innocent life was evident in every word. "Your people have such potential," Zephron said, moving closer until she could see the flecks of starlight in his alien eyes. "The Dominion sees only resources to exploit, but we see the fire that drives you to reach for the stars." "And what happens now?" Elena asked, her voice barely a whisper. "The Dominion won't simply leave because you've revealed yourselves." Zephron's expression grew grave. "No, they will bring their full might to bear. The real battle is about to begin." He paused, reaching out to gently touch her hand. The contact sent shockwaves through Elena's nervous system. "But you are not alone anymore." Commander Hart's comm unit crackled to life. "All stations, this is Admiral Reed. Dominion reinforcements have been detected. Estimated arrival time, 18 hours. We're about to find out what our mysterious allies are truly capable of." As alarms began sounding throughout the research station, Elena looked into Zephron's eyes and saw not just an alien protector, but something deeper. A kindred spirit who understood the weight of responsibility and the price of protecting those you care about. "Stay close to me," Zephron said softly, his alien features softening with an emotion that transcended species barriers. "The storm is coming, and I would not see harm come to you." Elena nodded, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and something she was afraid to name. Outside, the darkness of space held both salvation and destruction, while inside, the first tender shoots of an impossible love began to bloom between two beings from different worlds. The whispers in the dark had become a roar, and humanity's guardians were about to face their greatest test. The storm breaks. The Dominion's reinforcement armada arrived like a plague of locusts, their massive ships blotting out the stars as they took position near Mars. Admiral Catherine Reed stood in Earth Defense Command's war room, watching the tactical display with growing dread. Over 2,000 enemy vessels now darkened their solar system, a force capable of reducing entire worlds to cosmic dust. "Ma'am," reported her aide, "the enemy fleet is led by Overlord Craven himself aboard the super dreadnought Worldbreaker. Intelligence suggests he's never suffered a defeat." Reed's weathered face remained impassive, though inside she felt the weight of 8 billion lives resting on her shoulders. "Then today will be a first for him. What's our status with the Nixari?" Before anyone could respond, the air in the command center shimmered, and Zephron materialized alongside a presence that seemed to exist more as concept than physical form. Nexus, the ancient AI consciousness that guided the Nixari fleet. "Admiral Reed," Zephron's voice carried new urgency, "the Dominion has brought their Annihilator-class vessels. They intend to make an example of Earth that will be seen across the galaxy." Nexus spoke with a voice like distant thunder. "We have prepared for this moment for 3 centuries. Our ships move now to engage positions. Human vessels must remain within our protective formations." Pilot Ace Phoenix Martinez sat in the cockpit of his modified interceptor, hands steady on the controls despite the magnitude of what lay ahead. The cocky pilot had earned his call sign through countless impossible maneuvers, but nothing had prepared him for flying alongside alien technology that bent space itself. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Control," came Nora's voice over the comm. "You're our eyes and ears out there. The Nexari ships will mask your approach, but once you're in the thick of it—" "We improvise," Phoenix replied with characteristic confidence. "Just like always, Captain. Though I gotta admit, having invisible wingmen is a new one." The first engagement erupted near the asteroid belt as Dominion advance ships encountered the Nixari perimeter. What followed defied every principle of space combat humanity had ever learned. The alien vessels moved like living shadows, their dark hulls absorbing sensor pings and weapons fire alike while returning strikes that seemed to bend reality itself. Overlord Craven watched from his flagship's bridge as his advanced squadrons simply vanished. Not destroyed in brilliant explosions, but erased as if they had never existed. His grotesque features, scarred from countless battles, twisted with rage and something he had not felt in decades, uncertainty. "War Prime Darkoth," he growled to his most trusted commander, "deploy the siege fleets. If these phantoms wish to hide in shadows, we shall burn away every shadow in the system." Back on Luna Station, Nora and Marcus worked side by side, coordinating human forces with their mysterious allies. The stress of battle had stripped away the last pretense between them, and when their hands touched while reaching for the same control, neither pulled away. "Nora," Marcus said quietly, using her first name for the first time. "If we don't make it through this, we will," she interrupted, turning to face him. The command center bustled around them, but for a moment they existed in their own private space. "We have to believe that." Marcus nodded, his hand finding hers and squeezing gently. "Then when this is over, I'd like to take you somewhere that isn't a military installation. Somewhere with real sunlight and no tactical displays." Despite everything, Nora smiled. "I'd like that very much." The battle intensified as the main Dominion fleet engaged the Nixari forces. Phoenix found himself flying through a nightmare of twisted space and impossible geometry as Nixari technology warped reality around the combatants. His squadron weaved between massive shadow ships that flickered in and out of existence while trading devastating blows with Dominion cruisers. "Control, this is Phoenix," he called over the comm. "The Nexari ships, they're not just invisible, they're existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The enemy can't target what they can't fully perceive." Elena watched the battle from the research station's observation deck, Zephron standing beside her as his people fought and died to protect her world. The alien's usual composed demeanor had cracked, revealing the emotional cost of this ancient burden. So many lost, he whispered, his luminous eyes reflecting the distant explosions. Each death weighs upon us. We are few, and every loss diminishes us. Elena reached out instinctively, taking his hand in hers. The contact sent warmth through both their bodies, a connection that transcended species. They're dying to protect strangers. That makes them heroes. Zephron turned to her, and in his alien features she saw a vulnerability that made her heart ache. And what does it make me, sending them to die for a world I have only observed from afar? It makes you someone willing to sacrifice for love, Elena replied, realizing as she spoke that her feelings for this impossible being had deepened beyond professional fascination. Love for life, for hope, for the future. Their faces drew closer, the chaos of battle fading as Elena saw herself reflected in his starlit eyes. When their lips met, it was electric. Not just the physical sensation, but the joining of two souls from different worlds united in purpose and growing affection. The kiss was interrupted by alarms as War Prime Darkoth's siege squadron broke through the Nexari lines, racing toward Earth with planet-killer weapons charging. The storm had broken, and now the true test would begin. Phoenix's voice crackled over the communications. All ships, this is Phoenix. The big boys are coming, and they're not here to talk. Time to show the galaxy what humans can do when we're backed into a corner. As the fate of Earth hung in the balance, love bloomed in the darkness between a human scientist and her alien guardian, while the bonds between Nora and Marcus deepened in the crucible of war. The storm had broken, and in its fury, unexpected connections flourished like flowers growing through battlefield ruins. Alliance of Fire. The integration chamber hummed with alien energy as engineer Tommy Chen worked alongside Nexari technicians to merge human determination with otherworldly technology. His weathered hands moved with surprising delicacy as he connected Earth's quantum processors to crystalline matrices that seemed to pulse with their own life. Incredible, he muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. Their technology doesn't just process information, it communes with it. Beside him, a young Nexari warrior named Crix observed with intense curiosity. Despite his youth, Crix's bearing spoke of nobility and fierce intelligence. Your species approaches problems with such directness, he said, his voice carrying the musical undertones of his people. Where we seek harmony, you forge solutions through will alone. General Rebecca Stone's voice crackled through the chamber's comm system. Chen, whatever you're doing down there, do it faster. We've got Dominion hunter-killers breaking through Sector 7. Tommy's fingers flew over the hybrid controls as the first successful human Nexari interface came online. Suddenly, the tactical displays throughout the facility blazed with new information. Not just sensor data, but predictive algorithms that seemed to anticipate enemy movements before they happened. General, Tommy called out triumphantly, we're not just seeing the battle anymore. We're seeing its possibilities. In her command ship, General Stone felt the change immediately. The integration of human intuition with Nexari foresight created something unprecedented, a tactical awareness that turned the tide of individual engagements across the system. Her ships began moving with supernatural precision, threading through enemy fire and striking with devastating accuracy. On the Worldbreaker's bridge, Overlord Craven raged as his seemingly unstoppable advance stalled. The combined human Nexari forces had become something greater than the sum of their parts, displaying a unity of purpose that his fractured empire could never match. War Prime Darkoth, he roared at his subordinate. How are these primitives coordinating so effectively? Darkoth, his scarred features grim with concentration, studied the tactical displays. They fight as one entity, Overlord. Every ship, every pilot, every weapon acts in perfect synchronization. It's like facing a single organism with 1,000 bodies. Meanwhile, aboard the research station, Elena worked feverishly to establish deeper communication links between the species. Zephron stood close beside her, his presence both comforting and electrifying as they labored to bridge the gap between human passion and Nexari wisdom. The linguistic matrices are stabilizing, Elena reported, her voice breathless with excitement and exhaustion. We're achieving real-time translation not just of words, but of concepts and emotions. Zephron's hand covered hers on the control interface, the contact sending familiar sparks through both of them. You have done something remarkable, Elena. You have created understanding where none existed before. Their eyes met, and in that moment the weight of their growing connection became undeniable. Despite the chaos raging around them, Zephyron leaned down and Elena rose to meet him halfway. Their second kiss was deeper, more urgent, a promise shared in the face of uncertainty. Phoenix Squadron streaked through the void in perfect formation with their Nexari escorts, their modified fighters now equipped with adaptive shielding that made them nearly invulnerable to Dominion weapons. Phoenix himself felt the change in his ship's responses. It wasn't just machinery anymore, but something approaching sentience. "Control, this is Phoenix," he reported, his voice electric with excitement. "These upgrades are incredible. My fighter is anticipating my thoughts, compensating for mistakes I haven't even made yet." Nora's voice came back warm with affection and pride. "Just remember, you still have to come back in one piece. Someone here is planning to take you up on Dinner Planet side." Marcus, working beside her, felt a flush of warmth at her words. Their relationship had moved beyond professional respect to something deeper, a connection forged in the crucible of humanity's greatest crisis. When he caught her hand during a brief lull in communications, she didn't pull away. "When this is over," Marcus said quietly, "I want to show you the sunrise from Olympus Mons. I was stationed there before Luna, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Until now." Nora asked, her eyes twinkling with mischief despite the gravity of their situation. Marcus blushed but held her gaze. Until now. The Alliance fleet struck deep into Dominion territory, liberating 3 occupied worlds in a coordinated assault that showcased their newfound unity. On each world, the sight of human and Nexari ships fighting side by side sparked something that the Dominion had spent centuries trying to suppress: hope. Crix proved his worth in the battle for the mining world of Kepler 442, his young warrior's eagerness tempered by the tactical wisdom flowing through the Alliance network. His ship danced through enemy fire alongside Tommy's upgraded human craft, the 2 pilots developing an instinctive understanding that transcended species barriers. "Human Tommy," Crix called over the comm as they broke through a Dominion defensive line, "your people's stubbornness is becoming quite useful." Tommy's laughter crackled back. "And your people's fancy flying isn't too shabby either, kid." But even as victory followed victory, the Alliance commanders knew the hardest battles lay ahead. War Prime Darkoth had regrouped his forces around a fortress world, and intelligence suggested he possessed weapons capable of cracking planets. In the quiet moments between battles, love flourished in unexpected ways. Elena and Zephyron found stolen moments together, their growing connection deepening their understanding of each other's species. Nora and Marcus discovered that their professional partnership had blossomed into something more personal and precious. Even among the younger generation, bonds were forming. Crix and Tommy developed a friendship that spoke to the possibility of lasting peace between their peoples, while Phoenix found himself increasingly protective of the alien pilots flying beside him. "General Stone," Admiral Reed's voice came through the comm, "prepare for the final push. Intelligence suggests the Dominion is planning something desperate. We end this now, or we may not get another chance." As the Alliance fleet gathered for the decisive battle, the fire of human determination burned alongside the ancient wisdom of the Nexari. Love had bloomed in the darkness, and now it would be tested in the crucible of war's end. The New Dawn. The final battle raged around the Dominion fortress world of Terminus Prime, where War Prime Darkoth had made his desperate last stand. But as the Alliance fleet closed in, something unprecedented began happening across the galaxy. World after world was rising in rebellion, inspired by the impossible partnership between humans and Nexari. President Maria Santos stood in Earth's restored diplomatic center, watching holographic displays showing liberation celebrations on dozens of formerly enslaved worlds. Beside her, Ambassador Zorith, an elder Nexari whose wisdom spanned millennia, observed the chaos with ancient eyes that sparkled with satisfaction. "Your species continues to surprise us," Zorith said, her voice carrying harmonics of deep contentment. "In all our centuries of guardianship, we have never seen such rapid transformation of the galactic order." Maria smiled, feeling the weight of history shifting around them. "Maybe that's because we never tried working together before. Humans and Nexari, we bring out the best in each other." The tide had turned decisively when Overlord Craven's own subordinates began defecting, no longer willing to serve an empire that offered only domination and death. The World Breaker itself now flew under Alliance colors, its former crew having witnessed the prosperity that followed liberation. Captain Luna Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned Harmony, the first ship designed from the ground up as a joint human-Nexari vessel. Her crew was split equally between both species, working together with an efficiency that amazed everyone who witnessed it. "Captain," reported her Nexari navigator, "we're receiving surrender signals from the last Dominion holdouts in the Vega system. They're requesting terms." Luna nodded, her heart swelling with pride and hope. "Standard liberation protocol. Offer them the chance to join the Alliance or return to their homeworlds in peace. No retribution, only justice." Back on Earth, the personal relationships that had bloomed during the crisis were now flowering into something deeper and more permanent. Elena stood in the garden she had created on Research Station Galileo, watching Zephron tend to hybrid plants that seemed to thrive under both human determination and Nexari patience. "These flowers shouldn't be able to exist," Elena mused, watching blooms that shimmered with otherworldly beauty while maintaining the robust vitality of Earth flora. Zephron looked up from the garden bed, his luminous eyes soft with affection. "Perhaps that is what makes them miraculous. Like us." He stood and moved to her side, his hand finding hers with natural ease. "Elena, there is something I must ask you." She turned to face him fully, her heart racing at the serious tone in his voice. "What is it?" "My people have customs for such things," Zephron said, his usual composure giving way to nervous uncertainty. "When two souls recognize their connection across the vastness of space and difference of form." Elena's breath caught as he produced a small, crystalline object that pulsed with gentle light, a soul bond crystal. She realized from her studies of Nexari culture. "Will you share your existence with mine?" Zephron asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Not just as allies, but as partners in all things?" Elena's answer was to rise on her toes and kiss him deeply, pouring all her love and commitment into the connection. When they broke apart, she pressed her palm against the crystal, watching it flare with brilliant light as it accepted her essence alongside his. On Luna Station, Nora and Marcus had found their own moment of quiet amid the celebration. They stood at the observation deck where they had first worked together during the crisis, watching the traffic of ships carrying supplies to newly liberated worlds. "So," Marcus said, his arm around her waist, "about that dinner on a planet with real sunlight." Nora laughed, leaning into his warmth. "I was thinking we might make it somewhere more special than just dinner. Tommy mentioned that Earth's recovered some beautiful locations that were damaged during the early Dominion raids. Maybe we could help with the restoration efforts. Are you proposing we spend our honeymoon doing reconstruction work?" Marcus asked, mock horror in his voice. Nora turned in his arms, her eyes dancing with mischief and love. "I'm proposing we build our future together, literally, starting with making damaged places beautiful again." Marcus's response was to pull a small ring from his pocket. Not precious metal and gems, but a band crafted from metal taken from both human and Nexari ships that had fought side by side. "Then let's build everything together." Phoenix Martinez found himself aboard the Harmony, training the next generation of pilots in joint combat techniques. Beside him, Crix had become not just a friend, but a brother in arms, their partnership serving as a model for integration throughout the Alliance fleet. "Human Phoenix," Crix said as they watched their mixed squadron execute a perfect formation. "Do you think peace will hold?" Phoenix grinned, the same cocky expression that had earned his call sign. "Kid, I've seen what happens when our peoples work together. We don't just fight better, we dream bigger. Peace isn't just going to hold, it's going to spread to every corner of the galaxy." The final diplomatic ceremony took place on Earth, in a great hall that had been rebuilt using both human engineering and Nexari artistic sensibilities. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to sign the Galactic Liberation Accord, establishing the principles that would guide their new alliance. President Santos stood with Ambassador Zorath as world after world committed to the ideals of cooperation, mutual aid, and peaceful exploration. The Dominion Empire had fallen not through conquest, but through the simple power of showing that there was a better way to live among the stars. As the ceremony concluded and the representatives dispersed to carry the message of hope back to their homeworlds, Elena and Zephron stood together watching the sunset through the great windows. The light painted the sky in shades of crimson and gold, a dawn of possibilities. So what comes next? Elena asked, her hand intertwined with his. Zephyron smiled, an expression that had become more human over their time together while remaining uniquely his own. Next we explore, we learn, we help others find their way to the light, just as you helped us find ours. Above them, the first joint exploration fleets were launching, carrying the banner of the Alliance to distant stars where other civilizations waited for liberation or first contact. The galaxy had been transformed by the partnership between two unlikely species, and the future stretched ahead bright with promise. The Crimson Dawn had become a new day, and in its light, love, hope, and freedom would spread from world to world, carried by those who had learned that the greatest strength came not from dominion, but from unity.